Hello, everybody. Nice to be here with you again. My name is Dawn, and this is not the first training you've had with me, so you may recognize me from other trainings that you have in this centre. Today, I'm going to go through e-commerce for millinery stores. So basically, how do you get your millinery business online on the right platform for you to be able to create an online digital web store that services your clients and helps make you more sales. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. I have prepared a little presentation today for us. So yes, it's a very, very important situation to be able, nowadays especially with everything that's been going on, to be able to offer your products and services in a digital sense. So today we're going to go through all of the real fundamental beneficial information that you would need in order to make those great choices and figure out how to create a digital store that best serves you, your brand, and your customers. So, who am I? Hello again, I'm Dawni Baxter, and I have the social media and digital business coaching business called Beyond the Dawn. And a little known fact about me is that actually my first ever business that is still running to this date was a home decor business, which is an e-commerce store. Now, since then, years and years later, we actually have multiple e-commerce stores for every area of our agency and business. We do digital downloads. We still obviously have the home decor store. And beyond that, we also help our clients with this as an area for helping them to get their physical products in a place where people can purchase from them outside of physical location. So we're not relying on the high street, we're not relying on bricks and mortar, we're not relying on a mile radius around us for those sales. We can actually open it up to a much wider forum. So we have a great understanding of all of these e-commerce platforms. We're in and out of them regularly, and that gives us a great opportunity to be able to give you the fundamental benefits, features and benefits of each one, and hopefully help you to decide which one works best for you in your business. So without further ado, let's get into it. So today we are going to go through the e-commerce platforms and their features, including how their home pages or profiles and feeds look. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about how the overall look is. We're also going to do that comparison between the types of e-commerce that are available to the normal small business, small medium enterprises, which are normal online store versus marketplace. I'm going to go through product images and what you can do to get the best from your product images, the secrets of product listings and why this is important to SEO, pricings and postage, your branding opportunities within your online store, and your customer policies and GDPR. Now, this is quite a significant training, so I'm going to do my best to keep this video as close as I can to a timestamp, because for having a look through the workbook and of course our Q&A session, this could become quite lengthy, and what I don't want to do is overwhelm you to a point where you can't accept any of the information. So this might be one to bookmark and come back and rewatch again. But I am going to give you the most thorough insight into all of this as I can, so hopefully so that it gives you that great place, that great foundation from which you can make your next decisions. So, millinery and specifically handmade product based businesses, because the two kind of go hand in hand. The best ways to start a store are these ways here. You can either start your own website. So say for instance, if you have a WordPress website or a Squarespace or a Wix or any of those types of platforms, you can technically turn any of those into your very own e-commerce store. Now, this can get a bit pricey to set up and can sometimes be a little bit difficult to manage if you're not a web developer and you're not using these profiles time and time again. It can be quite a strain on your standard small to medium enterprise for one person to have to learn and develop a full web-based skill in order to just sell their products, right? It can be quite a lot. It can require training from outside, which is a cost. It can require plugins that have to be purchased, which is a cost. It can require money gateways, payment gateways like WooCommerce or Stripe, which occasionally those API integrations can come at a cost. And if you didn't understand some of what I just said and you would need to hire a web developer, that definitely comes at a cost. And all of these things, if you're not au fait with them, they are things that you do have to continually manage. And this is why these other areas, the online marketplaces and the easy build web stores, this is why they have a market. That's where their niche lies. We all become that person who wants to sell things online, but we don't want to have to learn what an API integration is. We don't want to pay out £200 here for this plugin and £200 here for this plugin, which oftentimes those costings are for an annual license. So they are a reoccurring cost per annum, which can very, very quickly start to mount up. If you start to think about the costings that you could incur when setting up an e-commerce store, if you set yourself up a store and it's cost you, I don't know, £600 or £700 in one off go, if you've got a web developer, it could be double, triple that. Then you have to consider how many items would you need to sell right off the bat to be able to break even on that exercise. How many would you need to sell to get back to that? It's almost like a pressure to begin with that nobody really needs when they're setting off on this journey. So my suggestion, unless you are incredibly comfortable with your store, with your website, and you don't mind integrating a store, then I would suggest going for one of the following 4 options. And I'm going to explain to you the best and the worst of them as we know it. And I'm not going to go into all the fee structures, but I will let you know a rough estimation. And in your workbook, there will be links where you can click and find out the exact fee structures so that you can explore further, so that you can see what really suits you in a bespoke sense. Like I say, there's an awful lot for us to get through today, so I don't want to jam it up too much. So I'll give you that information so that you can go and look at that through the workbook when you're working through after you've watched this video training. So the first thing that I want to explain to you is the definition between the online marketplaces and the online easy build web stores. eBay being the first and oftentimes the most popular for the general household listing options for people to buy. eBay is described quite rightly as an online car boot. Now, I appreciate that there are a number of business sellers on eBay and it can have a number of really good features, but we must not forget that it is essentially a car boot platform. And the idea behind eBay when it was first started was that it would be selling, it would give you an opportunity to sell second-hand and used but in good condition goods. Okay, as it has evolved in popularity, we have noticed that there has been a massive increase in brand new products going on there, materials going on there, even wholesale supplier relationships happen on eBay. But we do have to still, kind of recognize that it is an online car boot, which often makes it ineligible for businesses that want to look professional, for businesses that have ideal clients that don't belong within the online car boot structure, and it can downgrade your branding somewhat if you've worked really worked really hard to get yourself into that difficult and sweet spot of where you are in the market. You've placed yourself with your pricing and your branding, and then you go on eBay, you may not find your ideal client there. Okay. The next one is Amazon. Everybody knows Amazon. Amazon is the big winner for online stores. But much like eBay, it is considered an online market. Okay, so although it is a web store, it has got a lot of individual people using Amazon. They are great for brand new products, and I would say that they've become more and more exclusive for brand new products, and also for the inclusion of small and medium enterprises over the last 5 years. However, it is still a marketplace, and it is slightly different to having your own web store. Okay, now the beautiful thing about eBay and Amazon is that they already have a massive customer base. Amazon more so than eBay these days. They have a massive audience ready and waiting, people who use their platform day in, day out, people who rely on their platform and search for their products and services within first, some more so than Google. So they basically have the audience already there. They have customers stood with money in their hand, ready to go. And that is why they become desirable. That is why they deserve an honourable mention. And it's definitely something for you to keep in mind when you go about your e-commerce situation. Now, the next one in line is what I like to call the sweet spot, which is Etsy. Etsy is also an online marketplace. However, Etsy has a reputation within the market for selling fine goods and handmade one-off bespoke products. Creatives and stylists and fashion bloggers alike, designers on the digital space like myself, we all absolutely love Etsy. It is a place for creative and handmade products to be given the right kind of marketplace attention as is expected. Etsy also has an amazing high level of already built audience members. So we know that when you shop on Etsy, when you list on Etsy, there are other people shopping with you, and when you list, there are other people buying from all of the stores on Etsy without you having to go out and find those customers. There are people who rely on Etsy, they use the search functions, and they really enjoy purchasing from that store regularly, so they visit often. This is a really good thing to have, because it gives you the absolute best chance of being seen by people who would actually like to buy something that is special, unique, of a high creative quality, and gives that opportunity for you to list your items quite easily. The reason why I call it the sweet spot is because it gives handmade product-based businesses the platform from which to lift themselves and make good sales. But it also is as easy to list a product on Etsy as it is on, say, eBay, which is very user-friendly. So if you've never used a web store, or you're not a web developer and you really need something that's just quick and easy and isn't going to take up too much of your time or be too much trouble, Etsy can be a really beautiful option to do that. Okay. Now the next one along is just one step up from Etsy, and one step further towards a full-blown web store. Shopify is an amazing platform where you can create your own website. it is a really easy website builder. It's very, very easy to manage once you're in it, and it doesn't take long to get a handle of how you can change your web pages, and it is an already set up, ready to go web store. Shopify is meant to be for product-based businesses. It's meant to be there for you. So this is something that is really, really popular. It's amazing in the way that it makes it very, very easy for you to create your own store, which obviously allows you to create your own branding profile and make it look exactly how you would want it to look. The only difference with Shopify is that it doesn't have an audience. It isn't a marketplace. It is a web store builder. So it sits firmly on the other side of that fence. You will not get people visiting your Shopify store because they're Shopify visitors anyway. There is no audience. It becomes a website, and like any website on the internet, you have to encourage traffic to that website either by great search engine optimization or by, leaving breadcrumbs to get traffic into it, backlinks. I don't want to go too technical on you now, but all of these fantastic ways that you get people to your website, Google advertisements, Google rankings, and all of that shebang has to be done in order for a Shopify shop to work, because there is no audience sat ready and waiting like there is with the other three. Okay. So let's just briefly go over eBay. So eBay is a great and easy to use platform in the way in which you create products is easy as filling out an online form. It has prompts in all of the right places. It allows you to feature both types of payment systems. So you can have either a buy it now price, which is a static price that doesn't change, a bid format, which you can create the minimum bid that it starts at, and people can, fight like an auction room, because it is an online car boot, an auction room. They can fight to win that item, or they can have a make an offer situation. So you could put something up for £1,000 and say, make me an offer, and if you're happy to accept £750 and somebody makes an offer in that region, you can accept that, and you may have lost that sale if you had it up at £1,000 and it was a static price, or you may have not earned enough if you had put it up for a bid and started it at, say, £500. So it does give you that kind of middle ground. Now, it's actually really super handy for that type of selling if your product fits that type of selling. So it really does, it matters what it is you're selling, and within your niche, I don't find it to be the most optimized for sales reoccurrence within millinery. However, it is very easy to use, and it is definitely something to consider if you ever had any leftover materials, maybe, or if you had I don't know, secondhand items that you'd used for display, anything like that. It could be very handy just for getting clear. Some people use eBay specifically for clearance stock, which is another possible idea in the future. But for me, after reviewing all of these things with you guys in mind, I don't think that eBay is desirable. It's the least desirable for your products. And I don't think it will be associated to the level of professional service that you guys, provide. Okay, they also don't allow the capacity for downloadable products. Now, I'm not sure if any of you guys sell downloadable products, but if you ever made, I don't know, a handy how-to guide for making, or anything at all that may be a teaching material or anything that might help other people, eBay would not allow that. The other thing to know about eBay is that they often side firmly with a buyer, and there is a whole team at eBay to help you and support you with your eBay store. However, if somebody buys a product from you, suggests, for instance, that it never arrived and requests a refund, eBay is known for being on the side of the buyer. They have something that they call buyer protection, which from a buying point of view is fantastic, but from a selling point of view, sometimes can bite you in the bottom. There has been a couple of times when products of ours, for instance, have been sold, successfully delivered, signed for, and we've still had to issue a refund if a case has been raised, which can be really annoying, especially for your types of services, where the items that you're selling are so delicately put together, and it would be awful for you to lose something like that and then have to give the money back as well. So there are some pitfalls. eBay falls firmly into that PayPal family of purchasing as well. PayPal have a 45-day returns guarantee, which works very similarly to the buyer protection. Again, fantastic for honourable people purchasing, maybe not so great for honourable businesses who are open to the exposure of possibly being taken down a line, being conned a little bit and having to return money for services or products when in fact there is no reason to do so. You cannot put your own customer policy on eBay, even if it says no returns. They can force you to return items, or to accept returns rather, and they can hold fees and payments within your PayPal. You give them that power when you set up with them. Okay. Amazon is by far the numero uno of all online marketplaces because it is global, it's worldwide, it's known. Prime has taken it to the next level. We know that we can get everything in a day. Almost all of us, can order everything off there. We're ordering our Audible books, we're ordering our Kindle books, we're using Amazon Music for our streaming music. It's become much of a powerhouse, so it has a really good basis for ready to go buyers and a massive worldwide marketplace network, and it has more widespread safety for potential sellers. There isn't, for instance, a buyer protection. It can be quite complex, however, to set up. It's difficult for people who have set up online web stores before. Even myself, who is a seasoned product creator, I used to do procurement for one of the UK's biggest luxury brands, and even I found listing product descriptions and everything on Amazon really quite challenging. So it supports multiple chances to sell digital products. For instance, they have an author program and a Kindle digital books and Audibles program, but it is a little bit on the shady side in regards to not giving as much attention to handmade and bespoke products as it could do. It's very good for the Kindle digital books and their author program. It's great for Audibles and all of that. Even podcasts on their music is quite easy to do. But when it comes to actual hard, tangible, physical products, it can be a little bit difficult to get set up. Now, I'm not suggesting it's not one to consider in the future, because if you have somebody who understands Amazon, I actually pay somebody a fee to manage my Amazon shop for one of the parts of our business, and they just send the orders through to us when they come in, and that on that level it can be quite handy. But again, I wouldn't say, even with the massive audience that is out there, I wouldn't say that it's optimized for your needs. So the next one is Etsy. So Etsy is one of my personal favorites because it has a balanced payment and fee structure, and it also supports client communication, which is derivative of a fully blown web store, so that's really good. It allows custom order allowances, so there are buttons on your profile or your web store that will allow people to actually request custom orders. You have multi-image possibility, yet it has its full audience there and waiting, ready to buy from you, and it is a fully supported platform, very similarly to Amazon and eBay, but with more freedom in the way that you actually create your inside web store, if you will, within Etsy. It is fantastic for digital download products. So say, for instance, you wanted to offer something like that in the future, you absolutely could. And they have lots of really simple, easy ways to build your products within the platform. It can be really good for creative projects, for handmade, bespoke products, and for business to business selling as well. So let's just take a little look at Etsy whilst we're chatting about Etsy. So, much like what you may expect on eBay or Amazon, there are a massive category situation down the left hand side here where you can look and search under every possible situation to find what it is that you want to buy. Now, this may seem like something that isn't very handy. It makes it look like there's a lot of products to choose from, but it's actually a really sophisticated searching system. eBay does not expect you to handle your own SEO, your own search engine optimization. Etsy does it for you, and it will allow you to be seen by higher numbers of people without having to put as much work in to that kind of digital back of house, if you will. As you can see here, there are lots and lots of different stores that already sell items within your niche, from beautiful materials right through to finished products. And there are a couple of really well managed accounts on Etsy that we can see are doing really quite well. So when a store is on Etsy, you can actually look at the products in this block area as it is here, or you can take a look at the person's actual store. So I'm just going to show you somebody's actual storefront, so you can see what a profile looks like. So this listing, this is how each product listing comes up. I'll quickly show you this while we're on this page. So say, for instance, you wanted to add a product. There are multiple, if you can just see on the left here, multiple different ways in which you can add images. Okay. And this is a prompt when you go to list in Etsy. It prompts you to add images of different angles, which is a really nice little prompt if you've never done product listing before, because it is something that we learn about, that not all of the platforms give to their their members. And this is how Etsy sets it up. So there are a couple of things that are really quite lovely that Etsy use as unique selling points on a listing. One of them is this lovely rare find. It gives an indication to people who are looking at your products that there is only one. And if they like it, they need to buy it soon. Okay, and it can be really helpful. They also give you this little icon to show that it is handmade and bespoke. So that again is a lovely little boost for your sales if you work in the handmade product business. Now, this particular store is called Head Candy, and you can see at the top here that they've had 675 sales and they have a really good customer rating. All of these things are really handy for you to have, and these are things that would not be available if you had your own web store. You can put lots and lots of information into the listing to support your product being sold, and you can also add a button in there so that your potential clients can contact you if they have an inquiry that your listing doesn't answer. So say that you decided Etsy was the one for you, and you made yourself a web store. This is how your head This is how your front of end store would look. This one is Head Candy, so you can see it says Head Candy on their cover photo. This is like their shop front, but within Etsy. Okay, so it gives you a little indication of whether people buy from this shop very regularly. So if you have regular customers that you know will purchase from you online, this is a lovely little prompt as well, which can be very good for new customers because it fast tracks them through that know, like, trust process that we're always talking about, and it gives you that social proof that can be really handy. So many people have favorited this shop, which again is a really good indication that it's a winner. Now, the other thing I want to say is if you come off the back of this training and you think, right, Dawn's explained everything to me and Etsy is the one for me, which I can imagine for a lot of you, the answer will probably be. I don't want you to go away and make this shop and then in 12 months time be really annoyed that you haven't got 1,000 people who have favorited your shop. This is obviously something that has taken a number of years. This particular shop owner has been on Etsy since 2014, so she's had 6 years to get to this stage. Okay, but it is really, really good to have a look at where this store could get to with the right nurture and the right amount of sales going through it in a few years. And some people do straight off the bat make a massive impact on Etsy. It's definitely not something that is impossible to do because, like I say, it is a platform that has its already customer base there ready to buy quite regularly. Okay, and this is how the stores look. It gives you an idea of the type of products that the business is offering and how many they have in each category. You can search, you can request a custom order again or contact the shop owner, and you also can have a little look at the things that have previously sold, which is quite handy if you're wanting to buy, and then you just get that normal general catalogue of images, okay, of which this particular store has 6 pages of, so I'm not going to go too far into that. Okay, but this is basically how Etsy shows a store, and as you can see, it works really, really well. You have the opportunity for some branding up here with your cover photo, and you can fill out all the information that you need to about you and your business. So if you had a bricks and mortar store and you wanted your online store to follow the same branding and to look the same, it would be very easy for you to make those two match each other. Okay. So the next one we're going to look at is Shopify. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. 1 second. No blogs. You cannot blog on, oh dear, sorry. You cannot blog on Etsy. That's the one thing that I do want to tell you, because if you are the type of store that likes to keep in contact with your customers, or you have specific styles that you do and you like to share your pictures of how you get from the beginning of the product to the finished product, for instance, which can be a really lovely way to engage your audience and your customers in anything that is creatively made, then you can't do that on Etsy. You would have to find somewhere else to do the blogging for that. But if you have a Facebook business page, you can add notes as a tab and blog from there, and there are lots of different options. So it's really not so much of a hardship, I don't think, that should make you change your decision based on that. Okay, so to Shopify. So Shopify is a drag and drop website builder that allows you to create your own website with categories and products, and it is the middle ground between being one of the main selling marketplace platforms, and it has some great features for people who don't know how to build a website from scratch but don't want to miss out on owning their own store. So a couple of things to know about all of these marketplaces or web stores is that they all come at a cost. eBay costs nothing to have a profile, even a business profile, and it costs often very little to nothing to list your products. However, it does take fees off your earnings, and there are some products that you do have to add an additional fee onto in order to list them. So in the workbook, there will be clickable links for you to be able to go and read up on the fees of all of these different ones. On Amazon, again, it's free to have a business account up to, I think, 9 products. It might be 25 actually, I may have got that wrong, but you will be able to click and find out. 25 or 9, regardless, is never enough for a business, and we always end up paying the monthly fee to cover all of those different products that we want to list, and they have quite an extensive and complicated fee structure. I got to the point where I don't even look at how much I'm being charged. I just look at what comes in from them, and it's very difficult to work out what materials have been costed, what the fees have been costed, and then what the profit is on the item is very difficult to work out. So I do find that one to be probably the most complicated of them all. Etsy is probably the best value for money, I believe, in all of them, because it costs you 20 cents per listing, and you do have to pay for your listing, but you have to pay 20 cents for, I think it's 3 months at a time. It may even be longer than that. And so, as long as you're not going to have 60,000 listings, it's a very, very small fee, especially when converted into our currency, of what we pay to have those listings up and running. The fee structure is really low, and I just find it's easier to follow. Now, the only problem with Etsy is a couple of years ago they did include a fee for postage, which for most people selling on Etsy won't make too much of a difference, but due to the size of the parcels and postage and packaging that you have, it may make a difference to you in your industry. So you may just want to have a read up on that, click in the link on the workbook and have a little read up on that. Make sure that you're happy with it before you go ahead and do anything that is permanent with your decision. Now, Shopify is a paid offering. It doesn't offer any fees based on what you sell, because like I say, it's not a marketplace. It's a different beast. It's got one foot in the marketplace because it's easy to build and it gives you all of those user-friendly options, but it definitely has the other foot firmly in the website section, because there aren't any audience people already there waiting to buy from you. So they have created a couple of different options, and the first option, which is new, which is why I want to talk about it in case anybody hasn't heard of it yet, is it's relatively new. It's only been about the last 12 months, and it's called a £9 per month, and it's called Shopify Lite. Now, all this does, although they've done a very good job of marketing it, what it actually does, rather than what it says on the tin, is integrate a payment gateway from Shopify within your social media account, so that you can effectively turn your Facebook page or your Instagram page into a clickable shop. Now, if you have a great social media following and you already sell things without there being a buy now option within your profiles, if people are messaging you all the time and saying, oh, I'd like to buy that item, or I'd like to order that from you, and there's actually quite a lot of admin on the intake, because obviously you have to accept payment, you have to do all of those things, then this can be a good integration for you, so that people can automate that buying experience just by clicking on your Instagram store, pressing buy now. It will take them to the Shopify Lite area where there will be a payment gateway, and it will take their money, let you know that there's been an order, and it takes all of the admin out of direct messages, for instance, that you may be experiencing on Facebook or Instagram. Now, that's the step in to Shopify, and although it is a good option for some, it definitely doesn't give you the full user experience of having a Shopify store. Okay, so if you want a more comprehensive version, which is a natural upsell to the £9 Lite, it takes you to a $35 per month option. which may seem like quite a cost, but actually quite a lot of us pay for hosting and other things when we have our own website. It depends on how it works for you. There won't be fees taken out of the sales that you make on Shopify, so you gain that back, depending on what it is you are going to sell. Now, one of the reasons why I chose not to go into all the different fees of every single one today is because you're really going to have to take some time yourself to figure out, depending on your price points, your postage costs, and your own individual situations, which one of these will work best for you. Shopify at $35 a month for the range of things that you can do with Shopify is actually not a horrendous price at all. We have a Shopify store, and it very, it just comes out of our sales profit, if you will. It's not even something that we worry about. It does give you a very easy to use platform, which is something we all love, right? It allows the standard web user to make something beautiful and functional without having to pay a web developer, so you save money there as well. And it's not coded, so it's very drag and drop. It's very easy for you to create your website. So out of the platform builders, in comparison to say Wix or Squarespace, this is my favorite. It's really easy to use. It also has a great support system, so if anything was to happen with your site and you needed some support, you can contact Shopify support and they get back to you very quickly. They have usually a 24/7 support system, and I've never once had a problem with their customer service. They've always been great. But like I said previously, it is a website, so SEO is a factor. Now, again, I could bore you to death for hours and hours over what SEO is, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. So I have put a handy little link into your workbook, which contains these slides, so that you can click and have a read about search engine optimization, so that it is helpful for you if you decide to go for the Shopify full option, and you want to be able to use that to your advantage to drive traffic to your website. The beautiful thing about Shopify is you can blog, which is great for SEO, because the more content that you have on your web store, the better it is for Google and such like to search you. And whilst we're at this point, let's have a look at a Shopify store. Okay, I just picked a millinery store at random that was using Shopify. The reason I know that they're using Shopify is it says at the bottom, oh, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Website builder by Shopify. You can see it there. Okay, so as you can see, this is a lovely professional website, doing really well, doing a good job there for products and services, showing all of their different things that they sell. And it is very smart, classy, and it looks like a professional website job. Lots and lots of proper pages that give you the opportunity to use this as a fully functioning website. For instance, privacy policy, terms and conditions, your shipping and returns, and my favorite, the blog. Also, all of their social links. You can add all of your social links to your footer. You can even change currencies if you service worldwide sales. And there are a number of already integrated payment gateways within Shopify that you don't have to go and set accounts with, you don't have to pay merchant fees for. It's all included in the price of your monthly Shopify cost. So let's have a look at our collection just so that you can see what other pages can look like. Now, obviously this particular store have created their store the way they wanted to. There are thousands of free themes within Shopify that will help you build your website however you want, to make it look however you want. So this one, they've obviously gone for just a nice, crisp, clean website, which is great. but there will be plenty opportunities for you if you choose to go for Shopify on how all of these looks. Obviously, as you can see, there is a great opportunity for all of the information for your listing. And although there isn't a contact me section on the listing as there were on Etsy, because this is your website, you can add about or contact or add your email, for instance, on any page that you want. So there's nothing that you can do in Etsy that you can't do on Shopify for yourself. It's just that obviously there isn't the audience, and it is slightly different, and it is more expensive. So it just depends as well. So what I'd like to ask you to do at this moment is just to take a moment to consider how many products you have to list and where you are in your journey right now in regards to how much money you want to spend, how much budget you want to spend, how much time you have right now to throw at this project, at building a web store, and really contemplate what it is that you have already set up ready to go. Okay. And whilst you're thinking about those products that you have, I want you to consider whether you already have an audience that is ready and raring to buy from you wherever you host your online store, or whether you're looking for new clients and to be found by people you haven't met yet, because those are all also really important features to consider. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a moment whilst you have a think about that and just write that down somewhere. These are the important things that will help gauge your decision on which one is best for you. Okay. So if you have a store of maybe less than 50 products, and you don't want to pay a committed rate right now, and you just want to test out online sales and you just want to see whether it works for you, I would consider Etsy. In fact, up to maybe 100 products, I would consider Etsy. Okay, just because it is an easy introductory way to test this out for you and your business, and it is quite non-committal. At any stage, if you decide Etsy is not for you, you can take your products down, turn your shop off, and you won't have lost much time nor money in putting your toe in the water to try it out. If, however, you're ready and you're certain that you have more products to come and you want to set this up so that it serves you for 5 years or 10 years in the future, then I would really consider going for Shopify. You'll be able to buy your own domain, and you will have to buy your own domain name on Shopify. You can do it within Shopify, but they don't provide that for you. You do have to buy that separately. So you can do that and you can get it all set up, and it is not difficult to manage it from inside the platform. In fact, it's incredibly easy from an e-commerce point of view to be able to do that. So that is what I would suggest if you're feeling that way. Now, even if you don't have an audience but you're ready to go big guns for a Shopify site, there are a number of different ways that you can direct traffic to your Shopify site, and I'll just very quickly run down some of those for you. You can add your website to your Instagram bio and your Facebook bios, both on your personal, business, and if you have any groups, you can add them in there. You can add them in business pages. You can go on directories, online directories. You may have heard me say the word backlink earlier. A backlink is when you are featured on somebody else's website and they add a link, a direct link to your website from their website. So say for instance you were featured in The Guardian, and The Guardian put this great feature on their online newspaper page about you and showed off your products, and then put a little bit at the end that said, if you'd like to learn more about this amazing person, her website is here. And then you would click the button and you'd go straight to your website. That's what a backlink is. Now, backlinks are a little bit like social media breadcrumbs. If you sprinkle them around enough, you will get traffic to your site from the people that are reading and watching and doing what you see and what you're doing elsewhere. These are all visibility practices that I know that you will have been working on, you know, semi-regularly throughout this membership. But it is definitely worth considering that if you have your own website and you don't have somebody handling your Google console to make sure that you are the highest in the Google search listings, and you're not sure about SEO, and you're not at a stage right now where you want to become an SEO expert, there are just normal standard ways that you can pepper your website link around to your audience, to your people, and have them find you where you are on your Shopify site. So don't be disheartened if you decide that you want to go the full shebang and have a proper website with Shopify. You know, it's a much of a muchness. It really does depend on your personal situation. They're both extremely good platforms within your niche, within your industry, so they're very, very good for you to consider. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. So now I'm going to take you through the important steps for all stores, whether you go with Etsy or you go for Shopify, when it comes to your product images. Okay, so there are a few things that I can give you that will really help you in regards to taking and maintaining a beautiful structure for your product images. First of all, what works really super well, and is the way I am lit today, even though where I am is pretty grey right now, it is natural light. You can create natural light with a number of different fancy lamps like photographers do. I've actually got one behind my computer, and if my office was in a better state I would turn the camera around and show you, but I'm not sure I want you to see everything else that's behind there. But there are a number of different ways that you can fake it, but the best thing to do if you can is not to fake it and use natural light. If you use a nice white crisp background, that is always going to work better for you. There are ways in which you can blur out backgrounds as well, much like the image that you can see here, so that if there is a lot of noise or a lot of colours coming through from the background, you can kind of phase them out a little bit so that the consumer is hit straight between the eyes with the actual product and how it should be used. If you decide to use flat lay, accessories can be good to help emphasize the product. So you can add a lovely additional accessory on the outside of the image, for instance, and this may give you a overall more full branding vibe with your product images, and you can use that, you know, in some other instances as well. For instance, again, the model in the picture here, that lovely choker is giving a nice accessory pop to the product. So there is a bit of a discussion on all wearable products, whether you should show products being worn or whether you should do them on flat lay. Now, I've had a little look into this, and I've had a little conversation with some people in the industry, and I've also had a look at some of our customers that have different, slightly different niches, but also sell headwear and things of high fashion. And we have found that worn actually works better in your industry than flat lay. And if we go back, sorry to jump about the screens again, guys, but if we go back to the two stores that we've just taken a look at, we can see that those two successful stores are doing exactly what we found to be quite good, which is showing their product images worn. Now, because I'm very aware that I am saying that it is worth having your product images worn, and that you may not have the time or the budget to go and have a professional shoot done, to have your products, you know, worn by a model and all of that, my suggestion would be is that you create a corner in your studio, your house, or your, you know, your workshop, or if you have a bricks and mortar store that you're able to visit right now, make a corner, a photography corner, a nice white wall, or any color block wall if you haven't got a white wall, where there's some natural light, or like I said, if you haven't got natural light and you have to fake it, there are some lamps that you can get on Amazon. Ask me again when we have our question and answers, and I'll be able to get links and stuff for you. And yeah, it can be very, very handy to have that ready-made studio setup already there. You don't need a fancy model, you just need somebody who can wear the piece in such a way that the customer can see what it looks like and how it's supposed to be worn. It's as simple as that. Obviously, the more information you give your customers in regards to style, what events it is suitable for, the better. And you can sometimes give those visual cues in your photography. If you were to ever have an outdoor shoot, if you were a situation where you wanted to go and have a photo shoot, you know, you could do that. Now, having a professional photographer come and take your product pictures is amazing and it's fantastic, and I'm not going to suggest that it's not worthy, because it is really good. Okay, it's definitely something to invest in. However, if that's a block for you and it's just not something you can do right now, even if that's just because of COVID and lockdown and everything else, then don't let that stop you from taking the pictures yourself. Our phones, even just our phones at the moment, have really, really exceptional tech for photography, and you will be able to get a picture that is optimized to the right level. You know, the same kind of stuff that you would maybe post on your Facebook or Instagram will be absolutely fine for Etsy or Shopify, for instance. Okay, but you do have to think about how you would display them. Are they going to be alone? Is it going to be a full styled situation? Have a little think beforehand and pre-plan how you're going to take your product pictures and batch take them. Spend a day taking all of your photographs so that they look similar or the same in the way that they're set up. Consistency is really helpful, especially when you want the piece to be the thing that is really popping out of the image, and helping your customer to decide how they feel and whether they want to purchase, and to give them that great emotive response. Think about how you would display them in a bricks and mortar store, and do try your best to capture textures and colours in your industry. Now, just a quick word, obviously because of the nature of the designs within Millinery, it is so good to have videos where you can actually touch the item, you can explain the materials on it, you can really give a good feel for how to wear it and how to use it and how to store it, for instance, and those things can be really, really helpful. So if you do have a setup whereby you could make some product videos, even just a few seconds to explain what each item is and how it was made, and just give a bit of personality to it, that could be really beneficial for you in converting people who are looking at your website over to sales. Now, this is something that is available for Shopify. I don't think at the moment Etsy support videos, but even just as a little ninja tip for social media, if you ever wanted to do a little IGTV series or add something to your Facebook pages, this works really well in your industry. Okay, so here's some examples of the way in which if you weren't going to wear the items, you could still have that great flat lay experience, just in case you are in a situation where worn is not possible, so that you have something so that's not a block. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is good quality listings. You need to give a detailed description that gives the person who's looking all of the information that they need. If it's very wholly and they feel like it's vague, you're not going to convert somebody. There is a lot of trust put in the detailed descriptions. Dimensions and sizing information, if it's relevant. Obviously, if you are selling something that has a lot of height or has a lot of width, it is something that you may need to consider to let people know. It's not the same as them being able to come in and try these items on, and you do not want people trying them on, you know, forcing them back into boxes, not treating them with the care and respect that they may you know, that they should have, and then sending them back to you, because you don't want many heads on these things, you know, if you're going to resell them in the future. And also, you just never know. With an online store, it's so different to having a bricks and mortar store where you are customer facing with your people. You don't know who that person is that's buying from you. You don't know their care and attention, and you don't want to get stuck in that cycle. It could be very costly and emotionally disturbing when you've made beautiful things from scratch that you've poured your heart and soul into, if they're not treated well and then they're returned back to you after being worn or whatever. So do put your dimensions and your sizing information on there. Make sure that your descriptions are very detailed and accurate. Do not just copy and paste the same thing for every single product. Make sure that you have given each product a bit of attention, and made sure that you've really fully described what it is, so that if anybody ever wanted to try and send a return back, or there was any ever conflict in that area, you would be able to refer back to the description, almost like an agreement, almost like a contract. Like, this is the way it was described and this is the way it was delivered, and therefore contract and obligation complete type situation. Do have a look at consumer rights acts for all sorts of different things in this area, just to make yourself aware of what consumers can and can't do. Obviously, there is statutory rights and return rights that we do have to be aware of when selling physical products on the internet. People do have the right to return items, even if they were made to order. I think the only thing that gets you out of that is if it's been personalised in some way. And there are also a lot of regulations in regards to things going on sale. For instance, you have to have something at full price for 28 days per year. You're not allowed to have it on sale all 12 months of the year, because that's considered to be well, shady. It's considered to be just like a shady practice. I can't think of the word, but it basically suggests that it's on sale when actually it's not on sale, because that's the price. It's never been full price, and the word sale suggests that it's been discounted. So there's lots of different things in the Consumer Act. I'm not I'm not going to bore you to death with all of that stuff, but that's definitely something to go and have a little read over. But also, equally, don't let it scare you, because the likelihood of you needing to rely on any of that stuff is very, very low. And as long as you sell with integrity and you make sure that your descriptions are detailed and you're doing the best for your customers, you'll be absolutely fine. Now, in your industry, it's really super important that you let people know what materials are used. For instance, if you are a vegan milliner, then you need to let people know that. That is a unique selling point. There is definitely a market for that. If you're not a vegan milliner, then don't worry about it. Just don't mention it, but do let them know in the listing what it is that has been used. For instance, ostrich feather needs to say that it's an ostrich feather. If it's a faux feather, it needs to say that it's a faux feather, because you need to be able to fully substantiate everything that you've used in the product, and they need to know what it is that they're absolutely buying, to ensure that all of that consumer information that we're wanting to put out there, we're wanting to be transparent with the customer beforehand, is there, and it's an acceptable situation for all involved. Okay. Also add contact information, whether it's an Etsy store or a Shopify store. Do make sure that if you allow custom orders or made for you orders, that there is somewhere a little button where they can click and contact you, or your, some information, so that if they see something that they love but it's just not quite right, and you would be happy to take an order that is of a more bespoke nature, you don't miss that sale. You also want to explain your packaging, turnaround and returns up front. Don't let any of these things be a surprise to the customer afterwards. It needs to be something that they can see, and you want to use descriptive words and be as emotive as humanly possible. I would also suggest little style tips are really, really working right now. So for instance, pair this piece with a white summer dress, or even information as to which events it is acceptable for, which events it would work for. That can be really, really good. If you want to say this one is perfect for Royal Ascot, or whatever events it is that you may think that piece is perfect for. Now, I'm not trying to say that you have to label everything, because I know that there will be a multifunctionality over which events these items can be worn to, but it's sometimes nice just to add a little prompt, because people may just think, oh yeah, actually I haven't sorted that out for that event yet, so this is perfect for that. They're telling me this is perfect for that. And remember, you are the expert, so that holds a lot of weight to your potential customer. Okay, so here is an example of a description product listing that is poor. Okay, so forgive the imagery, these are just stock images, because I don't have any professional images of things in your industry, so it was slim pickings, and I apologize. But just for reference, there's the product image, which is a worn product image, the price, which should be clear and available for all, a lovely call to action button, which is your add to cart, which you want them to see and take as an instruction, and then in the description it just says blue fascinator, feathers, one size fits all, packaging box, return not accepted. Now this may look, you might be sat on the other side of the screen having a giggle at me here, thinking that looks like an awful listing, and it is, but I promise you a massive percentage of e-commerce store of all different kinds actually do have this type of description for their product and nothing else. And it really, really, especially in your niche, needs to give off a bit more in the way of a luxury and comprehensive feel for where you are in the marketplace. So let's have a look at a better description. So it's the same product, it's still £237, but instead it says a deep navy blue fascinator with ruched rose textured detail, soft velvet feathers, and a mini dotted veil. Easy affixation and comfortable wear without tugging or weight. Dimensions vary, but one size fits all. Custom sizing available on request. Delivered in our bespoke branded packaging to ensure a secure and safe transit to you. Luxury box and tissue provided, makes a stunning gift as is without the need for gift wrap. Handmade item, one of a kind, and as such, returns cannot be accepted. Now that might sound a bit flowery, but it is a massive leap in the way of descriptive copy. So social media managers like me, and copywriters, and anybody who helps you with your online digital side of the business will tell you all the time, copy, copy, copy. You want it to be like this, you want it to be like that. It has to be descriptive, it has to contain lots of words, it has to have your narrative and your branding and all of that. And the truth be told is that descriptions are the same type of copy as any other copy that you have anywhere else out there for your people. Listing copy is no different from any other type of copy. You want it to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You want it to tell a story about the product, the descriptive nature of the product, and what it really means to own this product. You want your clients' customers to know what you have to offer, why is it great, what makes it unique, and why should they buy it? And why should they buy from you, more importantly, over possible competitors and other stores that sell products just like you? So do be emotive, do tap into your storytelling area for this, and make your descriptions full and nice to read. It will make all of the difference when somebody is choosing to buy from you over other companies that they've looked at, or if they just want to have their questions answered without having to contact you first. Now, it's always good to have the opportunity for contact to be there, and I know I mentioned that earlier, so I stand by that. But also, you don't want people to have to come fishing for that information either. So do try to have that sweet balance between being available for people to ask questions, but preempting what their concerns might be ahead of time. It's a massive, massive win for you, and it will give you the edge on other online stores. I promise you, thousands of others of online stores on the internet right now. So, what are your opportunities for branding and packaging with these suggestions? So if you use Etsy, your opportunities for branding work solely on your profile picture, your cover photo, and the way in which you shoot your product images. Those are your main branding opportunities in a digital sense. However, you can add more branding, and this is across the board, by encouraging more branding within your packaging. So for instance, having your logo on your tissue, or having a certain type of hat box. I don't know how you guys do this stuff, but from a handmade product based situation, sometimes it can be nice to pay that upfront cost to have your business branding on all of these things. It really does make a massive difference to how the consumer receives the item, the luxury situation in which they receive them, which is, key for what you sell and what you do. Okay, so really do consider that. The other thing is as well is in my first business, excuse me, in my first business, we used to make a habit of putting additional little gifts in with every order. So we used to have pencils with affirmations on that were all in our branding, like you're amazing, don't ever forget that, or whatever. There was a few different ones that I loved, and we used to just pop them in as well. Now, we sold a lot of stationery products, our home decor stuff, covered prints and things. So I'm not sure if that would quite work for you, but you know yourself what would work for you. I don't know, hairpins or something else is a complementary situation to the purchase, or even just a little leaflet that says thank you for buying from my business. I hope you enjoy this one-off bespoke handmade item just for you. Send us a photograph of you wearing it at your event, and we'll add it to our website gallery, or whatever, or we'll add it to our Facebook if you decide to go for Etsy. There are lots of different things that you can do to encourage that branding, to encourage that communication, that can be really super helpful in getting return custom, and just giving yourself the best opportunity for that going forward. Now you can do all of those things and more if you go for the Shopify store, because you can brand the entire site. You can blog, you can have people subscribe to your email list. There's a whole host of other business practices that are unlocked by going for that option. So you can use all of those little areas that I've just described for Etsy on top of that, and then some more as well. And there's really nothing to stop you from making your web store look completely like you and your message and your narrative. It's very easy to do, and you'll be able to do it very easily. Obviously, packaging has a massive role in you having an e-commerce store, right? Because it has to look like you, it has to have that luxury feel. It may even help the placement of the costings of your pieces. You know, you don't receive designer, top quality, handmade, bespoke style pieces in dodgy brown cardboard boxes. It's just not something that you would expect. So depending on where you're at in regards to your business and what you choose to do with your packaging, this is something to definitely consider when you're thinking about your store and you're thinking about your pricing and your postage. So having a hat box go through Royal Mail or Hermes, or I forget the one I was thinking of earlier, any of the couriers, Parcel Force, it depends on the size, the weight, on how much you will pay. So my suggestion now is to really make yourself a little list of the kind of rough estimated sizes that you would have. Go with small, medium or large, and then check out the different websites. Check out Royal Mail, check out Parcel Force, check out Hermes, and I don't know about Yodel, maybe Yodel, and there's another one which name has escaped me. Sorry, I can't remember it, but check out the couriers, the private couriers. Figure out how much it's going to cost you roughly, and get yourself a base cost for postage. Now I know the lady on Etsy who is in the US was charging 20, whatever is the conversion of £20 per sale. Now I'm not sure whether that is enough to cover us over here. That is definitely something you need to consider when you are considering your price points, and you have to consider whether you say free postage and roll that cost into the full price, or whether you choose to break it down into the two prices, which is completely up to you. You can do it either way, but you just have to make a decision on that. Now, your packaging costs, your material costs should go into your postage costs. It is again something that you can decide when you're checking out when you're doing your conversions to what your time cost you, what your materials cost you, the value of the item based in the marketplace, based on whatever style it is, or wherever your brand leads you in the marketplace. You need to then consider how much your packaging is costing you and your postage, so that you can accurately figure out your profit margin. I used to also roll in the cost of my website into those costings, so that I knew that every time I made a sale, whatever the percentage of that sale that was due back to the business for getting that item out for sale was covered. And that way you can make sure that you're not bleeding money in areas that we can sometimes accidentally overlook. I know I used to be a bit of a bugger for spending more on tissue and ribbon than my husband would have liked when we first went into business. He would turn around and find me with another delivery of beautiful tissue paper, eco tissue paper with our logo all over it, and very thick, lovely ribbon. But I mean, these things do make a difference to your client, and they do make a difference on return custom. So it's definitely all something to consider, and definitely something to make a little costing, maybe a little costing spreadsheet over. And when you're working out your profit margins, make sure you roll them in and you don't neglect them, so that they are covered. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is your returns and customer policies, okay? Because the area you are in gives you a lot of grey in regards to what you can and cannot offer. I just want you to really think about the information that you put out, whether it be on Etsy or whether it be on Shopify. You do need to make it very, very clear what your return policy is and what your customer policies are. So for instance, check out the consumer laws. I think there has to be a 14-day returns policy even for bespoke pieces, but again, I think that you can ask that the item has been unworn in order to accept returns. You are allowed to say on Etsy no returns as a discouragement from returns, because you've said so at the beginning in the description. However, if somebody still asks you for a return, I do think that you have to look into that. You have to be really clear on what legally you're allowed to do from a business to consumer point of view. It's different business to business. When you work business to business, you don't have to worry about that. But when you work in e-commerce, when you work in retail, when you work with consumers and customers, it is slightly different. Also, I'm not sure whether this is something that you guys have to handle, but from a luxury goods point of view, which is my background, you may want to also consider the area from which, if somebody suggests the item is faulty or needs repair, you may want to have a policy in place just so that you know what you're comfortable with, what you're willing to offer, what you're not comfortable with, just to make sure that that's really super transparent for your clients and your customers, so you know what's going on there. And your other customer policies will come down to how quickly you respond. They'll come down to how you're going to handle your customers. So are you going to send them an email to let them know that their item has been sent out? Are you going to let the automated emails on Etsy do that for you, or the automated emails on Shopify do that for you? Are you going to have a customer suggestions box where people can come back to you with feedback, or do you not care? And also, I really want you to think ahead of time in regards to how you would possibly handle a situation that may not be ideal for you once you've sold a product. Now, this is a difficult one for all of us, because we always want to believe that when we sell something, the likelihood of us having a problematic customer or a conflict would be very, very small, right? Like we don't go into business thinking about the times when we maybe will have a difficult run. But the truth of the matter is that when you work online and you're selling products, it is bound to happen at some stage that you will have a difficult situation with a customer. You may even get a few, depending on how often you sell, and you really do have to consider this. It's something that has to be considered before you go ahead and put your store out there. Don't let this be something that comes and knocks you off your feet and is unexpected. Do think about how you will handle those types of situations, what your business boundaries are, what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. And you need to make peace with the fact that often when these things happen, it just can't be helped. There are lots and lots of different reasons why these situations occur. It could be a lack in communication. It could be a mismanaged expectation between you and the customer. It could just be as simple as a screen making one of your pieces look more blue than it actually is in real life, and then it not suiting the outfit that it was bought for. You guys will know the drill much better than me. and those finer details, but all of the same kind of little complexities that you've had to handle in the past with your face-to-face sales, it will be the same, if not possibly slightly more exaggerated, when you move into the digital e-commerce side of things. So do be aware of all of that. Don't be scared of putting those boundaries on your website, if you do go for Shopify, or within some of the areas of Etsy or on your Facebook page or wherever, just to make sure that there are clear bits of information that clients can go and look at in those ways, because they can be really, really valuable for you when choosing what to do next. Now, that's quite a body of information I've given you, so I'm going to stop there. I'd like you to spend the rest of the time just having a look at the workbook that's been provided and having a little think about all of the different aspects that we've covered today and what you can do next to get you closer to that step. If you already know at this point which platform you prefer to go to, then great. If you're not too sure and you want to wait until we've had our Q&A session, then that's fine too. Feel free to jot down any questions that you have for me and I'll be happy to ask, even if you want to give them ahead of time so that I can try and prepare an answer for you. That's not a problem either. And I will look forward to seeing you at our Q&A session. Thank you for today, and I'll see you again soon.